I'm a very stubborn person. They've told me several times, and I try to change, but somehow that's also, there's a positive side to it too.
Stubborn in terms of
if I want something done, I want something done.
you wouldn't need to rest until it's done.
I wouldn't need to rest until it's done, and I do not care about my health or anything at that moment. I will just hit my head against the wall so much until I get it done.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Fortune Tech Space. Today we have someone interesting here. This is the second time I'm meeting him in person. But before I get to the interview, I would like to say a very big thank you to you all who have been watching season 1. It has 10 episodes, and I've seen the engagement you guys have on that videos, and I'm thankful for that. So in today's video we have I know you as Fiifi. Yes, but in this video I'll get to know your your full name. So welcome Fiifi.
Thank you, Fortune. Yes, my full name. So that Fortune also gets to know it. So it's Samuel Fiifi Danso.
Okay.
Yes, Samuel Fiifi. Well, actually, Samuel Fiifi Asante Danso, but I usually go by Fiifi.
Fiifi.
Yes, even though Samuel is the first name.
So what's Nalo?
Okay, so Nalo was the company I used to work for.
Okay.
When we met.
The reason why I asked is I added Nalo to you. So I thought it was. So
that was the company I used to work for when we first met. Yes.
Okay. Just want to be sure that Nalo is not in So we are going to start with, we are going to go straight to it, and we are going to talk. The first 3 questions or 2 questions will be geared towards your career and background. Of course, the first thing we want to do is to get to know you and how you started your tech journey, and so just basically walk us through your journey.
Okay, so for me, I would say building stuff, engineering generally has always been something I've always been interested in since I was a kid. I always built stuff since I was young, and I'll say luckily for me, when we were growing up, we had a big compound, so I would find random stuff, weave them together, and create my own stuff. Yes. And I had a very, very vivid imagination back in the day. Like, it was so bad that sometimes they'll be teaching, but my mind will be somewhere else. So initially, my aim or my goal was to go into electrical engineering, right? And then I remember we had an uncle who came to take us one day to spend a weekend with him on campus.
Okay.
And that was the first time I saw a computer.
Around what age?
This was, I want to say 7 or 8. I'm old, so it was the 1990s. So that time, you see, we had those computers with the CRT. Okay. So there was it's flat and put a CRT on top of it. Right now you can't do that again. And I was like, what is that? And I was like, oh, it's a computer. I was like, oh, wow. Interesting. And I think at that time, computers were not even part of our study. I may be wrong. I think we started computer classes in my school, probably like upper primary or JSS, that period. But when I saw that machine, I was so intrigued. I was like, wow. This is amazing. This looks good. Then the second
that was time, around what year, please?
I don't want to give the exact years, but 1990s, either mid or late or somewhere around there. But it was at that time. And the next time I saw one was at my dad's office, and I was like, this is a fascinating thing. I want to know more about it. So I think when we grew up, we got one at home, right? And that's where I got to really get to know it, play with it, spoil it. I spoiled it so much. Like, And in retrospect, thinking about it, the man sold us a bad computer. Yes.
The computer you bought was
The computer we bought was a bad
but
computer.
We
didn't know back at that time. So we thought, we were the ones destroying it, but it was a bad one. But what finally got me into programming, right, was back in SS, where there was a funny thing, I've forgotten the name of the group, but there was a group that came around and they demoed something. And it was a boarding house, so laptop and phones were not allowed. But this student brought a laptop, and right now thinking about it, I think it was Visual Basic. He was demoing, and I was like, oh, we can create those programs that people interact with.
Yeah.
Initially, I didn't even know like how the programs were created. But after the guy demoed the Visual Basic and all of that, then I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do, and this is what I want to get paid to do. Yes, so it guided my decision in going to university. So my interest, I still had a little bit of interest in electrical engineering. So because of that, I did computer engineering, which, it's a bit of electrical, it's a bit of computer science, yes. So after leaving school, I worked a bit in the electrical field. However, I was still doing gigs by the side.
Okay.
Website development and all of that, which at that time you will not get too much money for, because people will come with like really big ideas and all of that and be like, oh, don't worry, when we hit, we will get paid. Exactly. And at that time too, you are hungry. You want to prove something. So you build, and then it crashes. And then you realize, as you grow, you realize that it's not a building thing, it's a marketing thing and all of that. But at that age, I was just building and all of that. Then I cannot exactly say what affected my decision, but then I decided, let me try to work in the tech field and see how I like the tech field compared to where I'm currently at. So I remember I applied, and that was NALO. That's why I have my name as NALO. I applied to NALO. And so the funny thing about the NALO thing was the interview process. Yeah, so I met the other people I were interviewing with, and these guys were talking like
those who were
being interviewed. Yeah, like after they finished their interview, I think I was the last person to be interviewed. So when I came, they were talking amongst themselves, talking about this stuff, and I was like, hey,
they're like, nah, this one,
I can't do. I would not be able to get it. But then I interviewed, and then I got the role. Yes. I think later when I asked my boss at that time what happened, they were like, oh, they like the approach I used. I think it was a work from homework assignment. Am I saying it correct? The interview, we had to, work on the project and then submit it and then kind of defend it. Yes. And so they liked the approach that I used. They appreciated, like I was candid with them and then all of that. And through NALO was when I would say I started working professionally as a software engineer. But prior to that, it was gigs that I used to work on. I can see those gigs, it was just like 20% which I got money from. But at that time, I just wanted...
you built a lot of experience out of that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, now you're giving us like a brief top level of like how your journey was like, but how was the beginning of learning how to code? Like that's first JavaScript you saw, that first Python, so I don't know what language you used. So
the first language I used was C.
Okay.
Yes. University. Yes. So the first language I saw was C, and I vividly remember, I'm like, why are we doing this? Why are we using C? It doesn't make sense. All of that. How does this relate to programming and all? And I was wondering how it was used professionally, because it was C. We were just using to solve equations, manage, pointers, arrays, all that kind of stuff. Yes, I was interested in that, but it wasn't like, it was kind of a decision, electrical computer, so and so far electrical was winning. Then I remember, it was either a show or a documentary it was a documentary, and it was speaking about London's cameras, right? And how the cameras are basically able to see like the whole city and all of that.
Okay.
And they showed some code on screen. And so I paused it and took a look at the code, and I was like, wait, this is not so dissimilar from what we are learning. So I need to be able to grasp it better and understand what's happening. So that documentary actually reinforced, because initially I don't know what I was thinking, but I was thinking what we were learning will be kind of completely different from what we'll be using professionally and in the market.
I think everyone had that feeling and experience.
So after watching that documentary, after seeing that code, after reading through that code and understand, I was like, oh, so that's where it clicked. And then that's where on my own personally, I started looking into stuff and reading into stuff and all of that. I think the first script that I wrote that makes me feel like, was, one of them was, what's the name? A quadratic solver, which right now is I'll say it's pretty easy to spin up. But when I wrote it back then, I was like, oh, this is good. I've done something. And another thing that made me feel like I've done something too was there was assignments. I'll never forget, there was an assignment that was being done, right? And everyone was like doing the same thing. By doing the same thing, it's like, so what I remember the assignment was, I think we were supposed to accept a user input, right? And then perform a couple of operations on it. And everyone, if I remember correctly, people were like, the user should define the length of his input. I'm like, that doesn't sound user-friendly. We should allow the user to just put in the input and do what you want to do. So I remember I read, research, I figured it out, and then presentation, everybody was like, so the user inputs the length of the string he wants and all of that. And I was just like, yo, check this out. Put what you want in there. It will spin it. It will do whatever I want for you. So I think over there was when like I really latched onto it, and then it really sparked the interest. And I think another one was I created something of a cleaner, like to clean my PC of old files. I was just playing with it. So I just left it to run and then scan through my whole C drive and everything, and then showed files to me. I was like, oh, this thing is useful. This thing is something we can do and all of that. So that's, I'll say, was my first script, and kind of pushed me in that. Into it. It gave you more like,
okay, this is something I want to do. That's well noted. I would want us to move on to the next set of questions.
Sure thing.
And I had a question I wanted to ask, but I think it escaped me. It escaped me. It will come back.
Okay.
It will come back. But it was based on what you said something. It will come back. It will come back. So let's get to your current role and projects. Okay. What is your typical day like at your current role? First off, are you a remote developer, engineer?
Let me say hybrid for now. Okay. Yes, there are some I mostly do remote, and there are some I occasionally go to the office. Yes.
The same job, right?
Sure.
Yeah, you said there are some that are like confused.
So yes, there are some that I work my side things.
Okay,
yes.
Yeah.
So some of them I have to go there.
Okay.
But for my main role, I would say it's mostly remote. Yes.
Okay.
For the main role, it's mostly remote. Yes.
Okay.
And for that, usually a day, since it's mostly remote, wake up in the morning, I need my coffee. I'm trying to break that behavior, but I need my coffee. Black, no milk, no sugar. Then I sit down, open my emails, because currently the role I'm in, is a little bit senior, so I have to deal with some admin stuff, and then I have to work with the other engineers before if there's anything I have to tackle, then I tackle. So I'll say currently, unless there's a pressing issue that I need to don my code, I will spend probably about just 20% of my time coding. And the rest of the time is providing guidance, meetings, and then planning stuff out. Yes. Okay. So that's how. But I made sure to tell them that I will still need to code, because for me, I find it to be a little bit zen. So after I clear all the stressful stuff, then at the latter part of the day, when I'm about to close, then I take a look at the tickets that I would have to work on, and then I work on them. Yeah, to close the day.
As a remote engineer, how do you motivate yourself to make sure you are working, because you are in your room alone and you have the chance to sleep, you have the do this other stuff? What motivates you to
So I'm going to break this into two. One is pre-marriage, the other is post-marriage. Okay. So the first one is I am hungry. Let me just say that. And by hungry, I always wanted to solve problems, right? Yes, there were times where today the spirit is just not spirited. It's just not spirited. But what I usually used to do at that time was, when I realized that I engage in a different activity altogether. By different activity, disconnect myself from screens. So that's either I'm going for a walk, or I'm running, or I'll find something to do. There's always something to do.
It has
nothing to do with code or work, or even TVs. So maybe the only thing will be on me will be playing music, whilst I'm either maybe cleaning or washing or doing something. So usually by the time I'm done with that, I'm a little bit tired. Then I take a nap, and then when I wake up, then my mind is kind of reset to work on what I have to do.
But so they are having you been in this situation where you wake up from bed, that is after rest, and then you don't feel like
I have to eat. so that's my motivation. I have to eat. Yes. So if it's not burnout, which is something which it's burnout. If it's not that I've been burnt out, I've been able to sometimes game myself. So for example, I am so not motivated today, but I need to get something done. I take a look at tickets, I break, so even if it's a small ticket or it's a small something I need to attend to, I break it down into sub-components, and at least if I can check one or two off for that day, then I know at least I've made some progress. Sometimes after checking those one or two off, my body gets into the flow and I'm able to, But if I'm unable to do that, then I know at least I've checked one or two off, and I sleep, and hopefully I wake up in the middle of the night or something where the world is a little bit quiet, and then I try again. Yes.
But doesn't those rest that you take, doesn't it affect your deliverables?
So when I take those rests, I try to put it back by working out of time. Like the time I've taken time, so let me give the time back. Yes, and so that's the thing with the remote. If you are not careful, if you're not careful, your time blends into one. By your time blending into one, you may not be able to determine this is work time, this is my personal time, and then it's just work time. Yes. So
how does
it's something I do not have the answer to. I'm currently still struggling with it, but I know that there's a certain time in the morning that's entirely for me. So then after that time, that's when I sit, and then when my mandated hours. Let me put it that way. So I've been able to have mandated hours where if you reach out to me, I'm available. But after those hours, I'm a little bit flaky, and my company knows that, and they're okay with it.
Okay.
Yes. So in those flaky hours, that's where, unless it's something urgent, I wouldn't respond. Or I'll just tell you, I'll pick it up the next day.
Okay.
Yes.
And this is pre-marriage.
So for this one, it's actually, for pre-marriage, it was very bad actually, because there was nothing.
Of course.
Wake up in the morning, hit your head on cold, come back to sleep. Yes. But after the marriage, I would say my drivers and motivations have changed, right? To be more off. So I would say after the marriage, I've become a little bit lazy. Let me put it that way. Become a little bit lazy because motivation has changed, and and all of that. And I find it surprisingly that after the marriage, it's a little bit easier for me to stay a little bit focused because there's responsibilities.
Yep.
Aha.
After 5, you have to do something else.
So there's responsibilities, and if you don't take care of those responsibilities, you'll be in trouble. Yeah. But if it's just you know that I can eat gari and granola and sleep, and I'll be okay, and all of that. Yes. But I'll say one of the difficult things to manage is burnout. And if you're not, because I know that by myself, I've burnt myself out so much because of an annoying behavior of mine. And
can you share that with us? Probably someone is
stubborn.
doing the same thing.
I'm a very stubborn person. They've told me several times, and I try to change, but somehow that's also, there's a positive side to it too.
Stubborn in terms of?
Stubborn in terms of, if I want something done, I want something done.
You wouldn't need to rest until it's done.
I wouldn't need to rest until it's done. And I do not care about my health or anything at that moment. Yeah. I would just hit my head against a wall so much until I get it done. Actually, sitting with you right here, there's another thing good. I would just hit my head on the wall until it's done. And then after that, it's either I crash, right? And then I'm forced to take time off work to recover. Or like for the week or the next 2 weeks coming, productivity just tanks for me because I have overstretched myself. I know this. I try to prevent it as much as possible. And luckily for me, I now have a great team in which I can, when I see I'm becoming attached, I'm like, you know what? No, this is not my problem. You guys are my team. You guys are young. You can work on this. And sometimes I just push it to them. So unless it's like maybe a super, super, super high priority thing or something like that, I just wouldn't kill myself over it again. But I used to. It's not healthy.
I see. What emerging technology are you most excited about and why currently?
I would say one thing I have my eye on, but I'm not really studying it, is I'm closely following, in this currently is AI. I'm closely following it and see how it is and how it's playing out. For professionally, in the professional sense, I'm not interested in it, like to
kind of like learn
and all of that
stuff.
Yes. I don't know why, but professional. I use it as a tool sometimes. It's a great tool to use. And surprisingly, I don't know why that's the only tech trend I'm not really interested in professionally. I follow it closely, actually read about it. I understand how it works, what powers it, but professionally, I'm not interested in branching in there. And yes, if you're looking at the rate of growth and how well it's doing, it's pretty impressive. I mean, my company is already working on items using that. We've done projects where we have to integrate that and all. And I would say it's both interesting and scary at the same time. When it comes to AI, I'm on the fence. It's a tool. A tool can be used for good, a tool can be used for bad.
Yeah.
So anyone who asks me about it, I just let them know that these are the caveats you have to take into consideration when using it. It's a powerful tool, but it hallucinates. Yes. There are ways we can build to prevent hallucination. I cannot speak about how we've done it at where I am.
No
but
problems.
yeah, there are ways you can. But even with that, there are some. And that's the nice thing. It's just going to grow. It's just going to grow.
So you
and
think
keep
AI is
getting
going
better.
to like go to the next level?
I do
where
believe so.
It's going to be crazier than
I
what
do
it
believe
is?
so. And I think the reason why I believe so is there's interest in it.
Yeah.
A lot of companies are interested in it. They are going to put so much money into it. And I think Sam Altman recently has gotten so much money to push into open AI. So, and there's something I used to say, and I still believe it's true. Nothing is unsolvable. All what you need is time and money. Because honestly, if we had to go back 100 years, just 100 years with the technology we have now, people will be like, he's a witch, or kill him, or burn him, or something like exactly. We describe that. I'm able to stand here and send you a file through the air. We'll be like, sir, you need to go to an asylum, right? So this is just the beginning, and with the amount of interest in it, yes, it's just going to get better. With the amount of papers that are coming out, with the amount of researchers going into it, it's just going to keep getting better and better. Yeah.
Okay. So aside AI, you have some other tools that you use in your daily development project and all that. But the question is, those tools or whatever, they keep upgrading, right?
Yes.
How do you keep yourself updated with all these updates?
Okay. So I think when it comes to that, I have a different approach, and I don't know if I can recommend that approach for everyone because everyone's style is kind of different.
Yeah.
I would say I'm one of the slow people in adopting new tools. Yes. Currently, I like basics. By basics, I like understanding how things work. So currently, I'm going back to reading into networking again because there's some network that I'm trying to figure out, right? I'm of the belief that with all the new tools that are coming out, with all the new items that are coming out, I don't want to use the term reinventing the wheel, right? But they solve a problem that's already been solved and then add a desirable effect to it. Because currently, maybe I've not met a tool which I'm like, wow, amazing tool. I'm going to jump everything over to that tool. Most of them solve something that's already been solved, but they have a particular, what's the word I'm searching for? Selling points. Let me just put it that way. They have a stronger selling point than the other. Either it's more efficient, it's more cheaper, it integrates better, or something like that. So for me, when it comes to that, I'm very slow in using new tools. I am very partial to sticking with the old ones that are trusted, that are tested, that I would say, okay, I'm also comfortable with. Yes. And if I have to learn a new one, is probably it solves something I want, or it solves, I think the recent one, and even I'm saying it recent, but it's not recent, is a solver for some equation thingy. But yes, and I'll say that's the newest tool I've adopted, and yeah. So when it comes to new tools, I'm one of the worst persons to go for new tools.
So if you use, let's say, PHP version 3 and version 4 comes, you're not eager to like.
I'm not eager. Yes, I would wait for a while, probably for about 2 years before jumping onto the new PHP, because usually the reason why I would stagger is things might break. That's one. Probably unless the upgrade has to do with a security issue that needs to be upgraded, I would usually sometimes I lag as much as a year or a year and a half before upgrading it to the new one. Yes.
Okay. So same here. Same reason why I'm still using Django 3.8, even though we have Django 5, because it ends up breaking things. Maybe some other libraries are not compatible with the latest version.
And I know I need to upgrade my PC. I think I'm using I'm still on 20.04. Ubuntu 20.04. 22 has come out. There's the LTS for 22, but I'm waiting till end of life, probably for 20 before I move up. So yes, I think unless it's a security thing, yes, I'm probably staying there for a long time.
So you would say that it's good to like wait, just see how things unfold.
So I'll say this relates to more of projects in production, where stability is something we are really chasing. But if it's a new thing you are working on, then Charlie, go ahead, break it as much as possible, get the newest thing. But for me, most of the work I do, I usually deal with getting things into prod for people and making it as stable as possible. I'm very heavy-footed when it comes to that. Yes.
Okay. I know you spoke about AI going to like another level, but I want to know, what do you think is going to be the game changer when it comes to tech, probably in the next 3 to 5 years?
The next 3 to 5 years. Okay, so obviously AI is still growing. So hopefully next 3 to 5 years, we would know its actual staying power and all. The other thing I'm excited to look forward to, and the human trials have already started, has to do with Elon Musk's chip. What does he call it again?
Is it
the Neuralink? Yes. That's another thing I would say I'm excited about, and it looks like
you are actually the first person saying is excited about that product. So,
it's
someone I'm speaking to in person saying he or she is interested in that technology.
If you look at how things are going, we are trying to be as seamless with technology as possible. So we have smart homes that speak to each other, everything. You can connect everything together. Your ring, you're at work, your ring can connect, and then you interact with your ring. Apple has released its Apple Vision AR device, even though it's VR, AR, but that's marketing. AR device and all of that. So the natural next step is how we would basically interface with all of those, and that's what I believe the Neuralink does. There are already people who are gaming, right, using their EM brain waves. So if there's a way in which we can implant it in our head, I will not be the first person in queue to go for it. Yes, I'll not be the first person in queue. I'll probably wait till like maybe version 4 or 5 before I go for it. But it is interesting to be able to. Of course, there will be the side effects and all of that. I've heard issues about the testing and how I think they tested it on monkeys, and apparently it wasn't too humane about how it went. But I believe that once we bridge that interface, it's going to be both interesting and scary, because they say that this current generation are kind of so hooked onto phones and social media and stuff. And by doing that, so you just imagine you have a Neuralink you have a VR goggle, and like there will be no motivation to be social, or you'll be getting your social from somewhere else and all of that. But it's something I'm really excited for. I want to see how it goes. I want to see how it works. And I think the person who was the current, I think there's only one person, human trial, quadriplegic, who's using it. And he mentions, yes, so far, as of today, he's having an amazing time because it's giving him ways to interact with his PC, interact with tech in which he was unable to do. So it's something.
Okay. Yes, I didn't really go much detail into that, but is it something they can take out?
It's been a while since I watched the installation video, but I believe it's something they can take out because if I remember it correctly, what they are doing is they are placing very thin wires into specific points in your brain to be able to capture the brainwave frequency that's happening over there. So I believe it should be easy. I would have to check, but I believe it should be able to go out, yes, easily. Maybe you have a scar left, or maybe a hole in your skull from where it was drilled off, but I believe it should be able to take out, yes. And yes, I know it's scary. I've watched Black Mirror and all of that, so yes, I know how scary it is. But I believe that's the next step in development, in tech.
And you think it will become big in the next 3 to 5 years?
We would hear more about it in the next 3 to 5 years, and then we would see if other companies go into it. Because what I realize makes things grow is the pioneer does it, comes with good results, then everyone's then when everyone comes on board, then we start getting the competition and we start getting the variation. And actually with the Neuralink, it's based off, I'll say, existing technology of working with people who are paralyzed and all of that, and that interface. Yeah, it will be great because imagine it gives a whole level of interaction and all. I've forgotten which book it was, but I remember the book mentioned that currently it's a race between transportation and telecommunication, because if transportation is able to solve moving from one space to another quickly, then there'll be no need for telecommunication. And if telecommunication is able to solve speaking to each other in a natural form, so I'm here speaking to you. Currently, Facebook is trying to do that with their metaverse and all of that, trying to create an environment. So now you imagine you have a neural interface.
No device,
but it feels like we're in the same space. Charlie, nobody's leaving their room. And all of that, yes. But yes, this is like, I know it sounds like science fiction. That's small by small. We have the blocks more or less now. Maybe in the next 5 years, next 10 years, we would start seeing some integration and all of that. Yes. Yeah, so that's what I'm thinking. I'm looking at AI, and I'm also looking at the output of the study for the Neuralink. Yes, and also another amazing one that just happened has to do with fiber communication.
Okay.
Initially, so what happens is the fiber infrastructure will still stay the same. The receivers will have to change though. But initially, fiber, if I remember correctly, I may be wrong, so nobody should quote me. Fiber was able to transmit just one of the wavelengths of light. But some scientists have been able to make the same fiber cabling use all wavelengths of light in the communication. So what we need to change is the receiver and the transmitter. Okay. And that's like, I'm trying to remember, but the calculation was we should be able to download about 100 GB in 0.3 milliseconds. Because instead of just using one wavelength of light, we are now using the full thing. with existing wire cabling, which that's amazing. If we are actually able to implement, so that's another thing that's got me excited. I want to see how it goes, and I am forgetting the actual. So the speed doesn't increase. I mean, we are bound by physics that way. We're unable to make light go faster than light, right? Yeah. So what's happening is the bandwidth.
Okay.
The bandwidth has been opened so much that now it is the right speed of your devices that will not throttle the bandwidth, because so much will be coming through that maybe it will overwhelm the speed of. So that's another thing I'm really, really excited about. I wonder when it will get here, but another thing I'm really excited about.
Definitely do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go back to your skills and development. What are the key skills that have contributed to your success in tech?
Okay, so I will say, I'll say it's a mixture of both technical skills and some soft skills. By the technical skills, you have to understand what you are using. You have to understand what you are using to build. It's usually when you start, it's okay for you to be at a higher level and be over there. But once you are settled in, it's good for you to dig deep. So one thing I used to do, and I am unable to do it now. I struggle to do it now. But one thing I used to do was I used to pick up the official documentation of either the language I'm using, whether it was Python, whether it was PHP, whether it was JS, and then I'll just read it.
Okay.
Not everything sticks.
Yeah.
Yes, but as you are reading, so because you've already used the language, there are certain parts when you get there, you better understand how it's speaking, and also this has to do with the languages, this has to do with the frameworks you use and all. So yes, I remember one day I just picked up in my SQL book and I was just reading it to understand what. And one good thing about it is once you do that, it demystifies it for you. Okay. It makes you understand. So this is what's happening at this stage, this is what's happening at this stage, this is what's happening at that stage, this is what I can do to either make it more efficient or make it faster. Yes, so that's one thing I used to do a lot of back in the day. Just pick up a book. So when I used to go to work, when I'm in the trotro, then I'm just reading it. Then I'll just read it. By the time I get to work, I've learned my something for the day. But now since I'm working remote, it's almost difficult to carve. I think the difficulty is carving up time for that. Because I leave the trotro, I know I'm multitasking. I'm going to work and I'm in and all of that. Yeah. And
so now it's more of like you get into a situation and you go and find.
Currently, yes. Currently, it's more of, and luckily for me, because we are trying new things where we are, I'm able to still read and understand certain things. So right now, if I don't encounter an issue, I find it difficult to, or maybe a headline will catch me, and then I read about a headline, and then I need to know more. Then I will delve into it. And that's another bad habit of mine. I can spend 6 hours trying to delve into something. Sometimes it can be as useless as a dish. Like a dish. And I'm like, why are they doing this in a dish? And I'll go and read about how citric is supposed to break down and all of that. But yes, so currently that's
and I think you're able to do this if your fundamentals are strong.
I guess.
Yeah. Because you wouldn't have a weak fundamentals and then you get into a situation, let's say having issues with your code, and you'll be like, okay, this error, I can just go and paste it here and then get some answer to it. You might get the answer, but you wouldn't understand it
what's
because
going
your
on.
basics are weak and all that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I think one thing that is scary now, and nobody should come and worry me, is I don't think it's been a long time since I've seen an error and I've been like stand by the error and froze it.
Yeah.
I see an error now. I'm like, oh, okay, this is what it means.
Yeah.
Then yes, you go. So I'll suggest reading it. And the other part that we don't really talk about is the social part of it. The social part of it, we work with people.
Okay.
And we work with people and we ship a product. And that's something I try to let the engineers I'm working with know and I'm more comfortable with. We work with people, you ship a product. And I think this is also dependent on where you are working. Is the tech the main item you are selling, or the tech is a tool to assist with the main item you are selling? But no matter what, you are working with people. I know people and people who I've worked with who get so obsessed over the minute of things, like, oh, this class definition wasn't good. And I'm like, my man, my woman, no. The person using the application doesn't care. Well, they care, right? But they care to, there is a fine balance you have to find to know when you need to obsess over code and then when to work with the people you are working with. I know a lot of engineers do not like PMs, right? But PMs are there for a reason.
Okay.
They are there for a reason. And from a business point of view, I know the tech people say I've sold out, but from the business point of view, because everything that's being done is to move products. Yeah. So whether it's the tech product or whatever, is to move products. So some decisions might come down, it might not make sense, but if you stand and look at it from a different angle, you think, oh, probably this is why they are doing it. So one of those things is to be able to understand the business knowledge, understand the business of the business you are attached with.
Okay.
It guides you, it lets you know how best to also solve issues and approach issues and all of that. So it's nothing I would say, yes, as tech people, we need to be very, very aware of. It's not just code all the time. Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to ask this question, but I think you've already answered it. Continuous learning. How do you approach that?
Yes. Yeah. We did. Initially, it was very easy for me to continuous learning, but currently, unless there's something I need to solve, unless there's some new, because I'm still surprised, I'm still learning up to now. But
you'll be learning forever.
And I'll be learning forever. That's the field we are in. But what I realized helped me learn easy, right? And understand concepts well is it's the same. By me saying it's the same, I'm mostly a web developer, right? And even though web development has changed drastically from when I started shipping out websites, I was using FileZilla, right? We were using FileZilla.
So you code and
exactly. You copy it and paste it in the FileZilla. We're using FileZilla. Right now we use Kubernetes, we use Docker, use SSH and do things. But the concept is still the same.
Yeah.
We use pipelines, but the concept is still the same. It's still files. We are moving from point A to point B. So if you do understand the tech you are currently using, that's why I recommend that for the tech you are currently using, get this document. Don't read blogs for now. Do not read blogs. Get its document. Sometimes it's so painful to read through. And it's so painful to read through the documentation, but you get to understand the language sometimes. It makes you understand it. So when you switch over to a different tool or something, that tool is not going to reinvent the wheel. It's the same thing in a different format and probably a different implementation. it's still about moving files. It's still about setting up automation and all. So it helps you understand it quicker and faster and all. Yeah. So understand the tools you are using. Do not try to, this is the newest fancy tool. Let me hop onto it without mastering. Every tool can do the job. Yeah.
Okay. Let's move to different sets of questions, which has to do with challenges and insights. What are some of the challenges you have faced in your career and how did you overcome them?
Okay. So all the major challenges I faced in my career was everybody taught us computers. So when their phone or PC spoils, they bring it to me. And I thought, I'm not that kind of person. And I rather spoil it more for them. Okay. So a couple of the challenges I have faced with, I would say, okay, let me just talk about two. One of them, I think I already touched on, how to do with health. There was a time I really tanked my health. Like, I was in a very bad spot mentally and physically because I was just not paying enough attention to myself. And the sad thing, I'm going to say the sad thing was I don't even notice what I was doing to myself until it started affecting my work output, which is sad. I mean, why am I noticing when it's affecting my output at work instead of when it's affecting me physically? Yes. So what's the way I've tried to work on it is I have friends, I have family. I try to social more so that if they see anything, they are able to say it. And then I try to take notice of it and all. Challenges with my career, I would say, were a great thing because with one of the companies I was working for, and I would say it's a great thing, was there were a lot of constraints on the things we could do. Basically, the person didn't have money to do a lot of things. So it caused me to think of ingenious ways to get things done with limited
resource from the person.
Yes, limited resources available even to launch their application on and all of that. Like the things that could have easily been solved by getting a 4 gig extra RAM. Yes, like that's how the title. But I was so interested in the project. So I was so interested in the project. So and I told myself that I'm not putting my personal money in the project. I'll just put my time in the project. So it really, really tugs at you to find every little thing you can squeeze out and all. And challenges are great if you are able to overcome them. If you are not able to overcome them, then it becomes what it is. But I'd say so far in my professional life, they've mostly been positive. I've mostly been able to overcome them, and yeah.
Okay, so I'll add one question to the example you just gave where you have to patch things. So what did you learn from that? Like, because I'm sure you did not repeat that.
I did not. So it actually goes to, I'm come to take this off a little tangent now. Yes. So actually from what I learned from there, right? And it will surprise you because you would think I would say what I learned from there was how to optimize and then move the optimizations to production. But, yes, there's a but. Sometimes there's not a need to optimize until you need to optimize. For example, so whose law was it? That guy who said electronics would double or quadruple every 2 or 4 years. Is it Moore's law or something like that? But optimization usually comes around when something is inefficient, right? And with how things are moving, this is going to be a hot take. It's going to be a very hot take. But with how things are moving, is optimization necessary sometimes? Let me explain. So Call of Duty. I'm going to use Call of Duty as an example. All right. There's a meme where there's a Native American tracking people through the through the jungle. And then he says a Western developer has passed here. And they said, how? And they said the game size is 500 GB, right? Yes, people release games that are as tiny as 30, but Call of Duty, I think the recent Call of Duty says is going to be around 300 gigabytes or something like that. Yes. Wow. And even with that, they mentioned they are still going to stream in the graphical resources.
So you mean there will be like extra
spaces? So anytime you play the game, they are going to stream in the graphic assets for you to view. Now, I do understand why people are worried, but here's the case where now data is so cheap. Quotation mark. Data is not cheap. Data is cheaper compared to back in the day. Storage is cheaper compared to back in the day. That sometimes you do understand why some people might not optimize certain things. The computer that sends the people to the moon, right, and brought them back. I've forgotten the parameters of the computer, but everybody's phone is now powerful. The computer they use to calculate the trajectory of the people going to the moon and coming back, right? But right now, Google Chrome alone would take about 3 gig of your RAM. And another thing, we are also moving away from 3 gig PCs. From 4 gig PCs to like 8, 16, 32. Yeah. So, do we still optimize? In some cases, like when it doesn't make sense, like why am I clicking this? It's taking 10 seconds to run and all of that. Would that 10 seconds be better valued by investing in a higher tier something? Probably if I bought a higher tier machine, it would reduce it to 1 second. What is the median use, the average user that's using your application and all? And yes, I know I'm kind of speaking to that because the amount of time I spent optimizing for that application. If I were to calculate the man hours, it would have made sense to have just bought it. So I've just bought a bigger rack.
Okay.
And then parallel the processes across the bigger rack.
Yeah.
You see. So probably unless, but this does not go to embedded systems. Embedded systems and all, like it's a whole different ball game altogether. Yes. So this goes to consumer and all of that. Tech is moving so fast. Hardware is also moving quite fast. I mean, now look at the speeds that our drives are giving us. Hey, back in the day, you can the computer is thinking. You hear the of your hard disk spinning up and the header searching for you could actually hear your CPU running. Where they're like, yes, working.
That wouldn't last less than 20 minutes, or it's going to take a long time.
And so it's so apart from embedded systems is like a whole board game. It was actually a very personal interest of mine, working with embedded systems. Okay. It's a whole different ball game altogether. But when it comes to the consumer level of things, phones are getting better, PCs are getting better. And it's just going to keep getting better and better and better and better and better. So yes, optimize, but take a comparison and look at if it's worth. Is it necessary?
Yeah.
Is it necessary? So I'll say optimize when you need to optimize. Don't pre-optimize. Do not pre-optimize. Optimize when it's necessary.
Maybe, I can object to that.
Oh yeah, I know. There'll be lots of
because I think if you know, like let's say you've shipped out a product, and maybe the first month you had 1,000 users, and the next 3 months you had 10,000. That's times 10.
That's times 10,
And then getting to a year, you've seen like big increase. You wouldn't want to wait to be in a situation where you have to scale up when needed. Like you can kind of like scale, maybe, in the 10th month is going to be a lot of users. So maybe your 8th, 9th month, you can scale out so that like things don't break when you're in the 10th month. What do you think about that?
Yes, and there was something you said too, which is when you've gotten users. Now that you've gotten your users, you've gotten your money. So now you can use that money to now work on scaling out, scaling up, and optimizing.
Yeah, so that's why you see I mentioned months.
Yeah.
So definitely, we did the same marketing stuff and we got this. And we are doing it again. So we definitely get this. So let me put in this money to scale up. The money comes, I put it back in my pocket.
Yes. But yes, I do agree with you. But if that activity is done preemptively,
it means you're going to be paying.
Yes.
So,
so imagine doing preemptive without even getting. I know people who have been frozen in and usually there's no business people, these are tech people. Where they've been frozen was like, the product is not good enough, it doesn't run fast enough. My brother in Christ, if your product is not targeted towards tech people right? Ship it. Users want features. Users are more, it runs faster. It's good, but new features and all. There are ways to play around with users to make them feel like, it's working.
Okay. You are like,
exactly.
Things going on.
Yes, exactly. But the funny thing is, recently something opposite happened in work where I worked on something, became a little bit faster, and people were worried because it has to do with some calculation thing, and they felt like the calculation was ending too fast to give them good results. So it's not correct. So actually, in that code, I have weight random 1 to 1,000 to pick a number and to just wait before it proceeds.
Our users hold on to how things work.
Because that's why it depends on the process. Because this process, I'm telling you that I'm calculating and finding something really good for you. So hold on. So imagine I say that and like I'm giving you the response. Like, are you sure? You see. And what they were used to working with something that's used to take like maybe 6 hours or something to run. Now you're telling me that in like, I don't know, 10 minutes is done. Sir, this one, yeah. But then when you compare the results to, there's like maybe a 0.3% difference in results and all of that. So sometimes observe, I would say, and that's the thing I would say, you need to observe the business, look at the business, look at the users are responding to the business, and see how best you can reflect it. I think there was another example. I'm trying to remember the actual example, but there was a feature that we had to regress because the feature was good, but the users did not like it. I think the feature was automating. I'm trying to remember. It's one of the old companies I worked for. But the feature was automating a certain very, very annoyingly manual part. But when we sent a poll out, like about 80% of the users were like, no, we don't want it. We want the old one. And I was shocked. I was shocked. Yeah.
Okay, so we are going to jump this set of questions and then move to this, then go back. Okay, so let's talk about your personal interest, right? Outside tech, what hobbies or interests do you have that helps you relax or to recharge yourself to come back to coding?
Okay. So one thing is I'm an avid video gamer, right? But not FIFA or Call of Duty or what probably MMOs, MMORPGs, That's Final Fantasy and Guild Wars. Then RTSs and then RPGs. Those are so currently what I'm playing is Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree. Yes, so that's what I'm currently playing.
I've not heard of that one. I'm not a
gamer,
of course.
It's fun. That's what I'm gonna say. It's fun. Yes, but there are physical activities I also like doing. I think late last year I started running. So yes, I run. I think I try to do it 3 times a week because otherwise you're going to live such a sedentary lifestyle. It's going to be very, very bad for your health. So I force myself to run at least 3 times a week. I plan on going to the gym, but for now I'm going to stick with running. And as we grow older, our body also gets a little bit more annoying because then times when I get hurt, my body could heal itself. Yeah. Now I have to treat it. Otherwise, it's so I run, and then occasionally I'll say I garden a little bit. Okay. Yes, but that's very, very, very occasional.
Okay.
Yes, and things around the house that I kind of have to do, like maybe cutting something down or cleaning something up. And yes, yeah.
Okay, cool. Another one. If you could work on any project or technology without limitation, what would it be and why? Any project
without limitations.
Like everything is possible, like in your mind.
Well, then I'll speak about 2. One thing that makes me very sad, and people I tell this to tell me I'm mad, right? One thing that really makes me sad is I will never get to see it. Okay, I will never step on a different planet, right? Rather than Earth. Like, it makes me so sad that I will physically never be able to step on a different planet. It's something that's, if I'd have loved, I'd have gone into it, their technology, into traveling and exploring more of at least our current solar system, right? It's something that's always fascinated me. It's something. So if there are no limits, there are no restrictions, I would have loved to go into interplanetary travel work, whether it has to do with the technology, whether it has to do with the building, whether it has to do with the research or anything.
So if time machine should have, like, you can walk to a shop to buy a time machine, you would have been what to do?
I would have. I would have bought one and then slept until we have like commercial because when it starts initially to just be scientists and researchers and very rich people who would be going on it. So to a time where it's like viable for everybody to just walk up to it and be like, oh, 1 ticket to Mars, please. And then you go. Yeah, so without money. And then probably the other one which I would have loved to work on is, you've watched Ready Player One, right? The movie, okay. So Ready Player One, what other movie? Ooh, Matrix. You found the Matrix. Yeah, good. I'd have loved to work on a system to create the Matrix more or less. Okay. So that we can plug in and then plug out. Like something like that. Yeah.
I see. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So with no limitations, no money.
Yeah. There's money in like
exactly. Yeah. Those are the things. Yeah.
What's fun about you that people don't know?
What's fun about me that people don't know?
Maybe only your wife.
This will be difficult too. I like to sing. I have a horrible voice. Like, I have a horrible voice. Like, I can't even start. And I like to dance, but...
In your bathroom?
No.
In public?
I will dance in public. I cannot dance. I am that guy you would see with a horrible dance dancing in public. But I don't care. I'm dancing. Yeah. But you'll not catch me singing. The singing, I just feel like I like those physical activities, but I have very, very, very horrible like coordination. I actually went to a dance school once to learn how to dance. And you're going to laugh at me for this, but my body does not move the way I want it to. So I actually had to write a script in my head. Left, right. Like, so, okay, so now we are moving left, we are moving right, you move hips. Until I figured how to do the dance, and I'm like, yeah, this is not for me. My body wasn't made for this. So, yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. Let's talk about future inflation. What do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years?
In the next 5 to 10 years, okay, so that'll be 2 different positions actually.
Currently, you're a PM.
I'm a senior engineer.
Okay.
That's what my title says.
But you do more of like the PM stuff.
Manager. Yes, let me say engineering manager like stuff, because I manage a number of people. There's a lot of architectural things I have to work on from time to time. So they are mostly kind of high level sometimes, and then then there's also the tickets. I mentioned that I would always like to work on tickets.
Okay.
Because it helps me relax. Yes. So that's it. And currently there's so many applications which I have to take care of and all. I just wouldn't have the time itself. So the next 5 years, it basically might be I might step down, right, to be a little bit more code focused, because I might decide to become a specialized senior engineer where if things are going down, I'm the last stop.
Okay.
They don't know if I'm coming in to solve it. Yes. I might step down because I realize that I'm okay with managing people, but I like it when I'm in direct control of the variables.
Okay.
As a manager, you're working with people are people.
Yeah.
Let me just put it that way. Yes. The next 10 years, how old will I be? Next 10 years, I might be part-time in tech, right? And then I know a lot of tech people say this, that they are going into farming and all of that, right? But they do not really appreciate the amount of work that goes into it. Yes. Yeah. Like right now I've lost everything. Like, yes, it basically had to do with the soil composition and the type of vegetation that was planted and all. But it's something that I want to go into personally, but I will never believe in the tech, because even if I go into farming, or even if it's not farming, it will be, I want to call it production related, production related. I will still try to implement something techy about it. Okay. So maybe some small robotics or some automation, or maybe
so more of like a company, like you set up.
I don't know if I would like to set up a company. I just in bush somewhere with sensors checking, just to play around.
I see.
Yes.
Cool.
Company is a whole lot of stress, and I am done with stress. Yes, I am done with the stress.
Do you think tech would drastically change the society in the next same 10 years?
I don't know. The reason I'm saying I don't know is, as much as tech will change the society, we also have our culture.
Yes, right? I was going to say, when I say society, will it change our culture and how we see things, change religions?
Change our culture. I don't know. For changing the culture, I would say I'm not super confident on that. The reason why I'm saying that is lots of Ghanaians are very conservative. Sorry. Lots of Ghanaians are very conservative when it comes to trying tech stuff. I can point out several companies that would benefit them from trying, new tech stuff and all, but they would drag their feet. Sometimes you kind of have been in a situation where we had to force a company to move away from their old ways, and now they are grateful for it. Yes. So I realized the Ghanaian culture is very conservative. Even if they would use it, they're going to use it in a very limited, very limited way. I see how certain things work. I see how certain things go through. They are simple. There are times I've told a company, like, look, you can actually, you don't even have to spend that much money. You can just, for now, you can just even get an Excel workbook, write scripts inside, and then look at how it serves you best before, you upgrade to a full-blown software and all of that. But recently I heard a company has lost about 1.2 million cedis because they have no correct way of tracking their money.
Yeah.
And so the reason is the culture, because people also find ways to abuse the tech culture. So next 10 years, Ghanaian environment, I'm a little bit on the fence.
Okay.
Yes, I'm a little bit on the fence with that. We may be a little bit back. I mean, look at what happened with EC. Our EC, either this year or late last year, they told us they are building data using CorelDRAW. When was it this recent registration or something? So they were asked, how did you get the data? Like, the mistake happened when the designer was using CorelDRAW for the data. And now they've moved on to Excel. You see? Now they've moved on to Excel. People have left Excel. Excel is a powerful tool. I'm not insulting Excel. People have left Excel to, build their own data-centric thing, able to run models on it, able to run prediction models of it.
Yeah, using Excel.
Creating CorelDRAW. No, we have now moved to Excel. We're using CorelDRAW. Yeah.
So, like...
yeah. And you see, all this data, what's it called? I was helping my wife with her paper recently, and there was some data I wanted to infer some information from it. It's painful. Like, it's so painful. I believe data like that should be so easily accessible. All what I was searching for, right, was I was searching for the number of companies in the Greater Accra region.
Okay.
The only way I was able to get this information was I had to do some backwards calculation thing. I feel, maybe I'm wrong here, I feel this should be a very easily accessible statistics from the Registrar General. I mean, end of year reports or something. I really searched. Maybe I'm not good at this, so the academics amongst you correct me. I couldn't find anything. The closest report I could find was a GCP report, which was referencing a World Bank report from 2016, which is predicting the amount of companies we would have. Yes. Yes. So I saw GCP. I was like, okay, GCP will have the data. And I checked GCP source. It's referring to 2016, which is predicted. Wow. So I don't... Because we've been saying big data for... When I was back in university, we were talking about big data.
Yeah.
When I was way back in university, you would think... One beautiful thing about where I work is it's so beautiful to see the data working. It's so beautiful. You can see the correlation between it. All of something which you would think as useless, in quotation mark, as weather, right? You can actually draw you can even actually draw the effect of weather on probably accidents or the way we behave towards things just from that data. We don't have that. We don't have that, but
which we could.
We could
have it.
And I believe with so much solutions right now, it should be so easy.
Yeah.
it should be gone are the days when if you want to keep data, you have to go and get your own rack and yes, I know for government organizations they have to get their they are not obeying that directive though. For government organizations, they need to connect with NITA or something like that. When it
comes to the government and having data, and they have no reason not to gather data, but I feel like what they do behind all these data is the reason why they just don't want to keep accurate data and probably have data which they could have and
they could have. I remember I recently spoke to a certain government worker, and the comments this worker passed out was like, the amount of data they fabricate, even if we are to use that data, so they fabricate the data so that they can get the grants and all of that. And so I'm very on the fence when it comes to, because we've heard that they're going to use blockchain for Ghana Lands Commission. Nothing. Because you're going to, you hear so many things and then, I don't know. So I'm very on the fence when it comes to next 10 years. Tech, I believe our culture is part of the reason why we may not be seeing tech as a result. And this is something I'm going to say. We've been able to implement Momo. I believe it's the next step in which you can move Momo forward, right? And even with that too, they've started sitting on it with the taxes and everything. You see? Yeah.
Okay. So last set of questions, which is under advice and inspiration, right? What advice would you give someone who is just starting their career in tech?
Okay. Just starting their career. Okay. Well, first thing is I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Mm-hmm. Yes. It's like almost every job. What you put in is what you get out. And it can be really, really stressful, right? It can put a strain on your health too, if you're not careful. And to excel at it, 9 to 5 will not be enough, because you would have to continuously learn. However, the rewards for it are amazing. You may hear lots of stories that, there's lots of money in tech, lots of money in tech. It's true. There can be money made in tech, but you are not going to make it in your first year. The probability of you making it in your first year is very, very low.
Probably your third year.
Still, you would have to show that you are worth it.
Okay.
You would have to, and there's no way you can do a standard 9 to 5. And by me saying standard 9 to 5 is when you get to work, that's the only time you decide to work/study on tech. Yes. So 9 to 5, then you are done. Then you decide that you are done. You need to ask all those. I'll tell them to speak to anyone who they believe is somewhere they want to be. And I can guarantee you 90% of them have burnt midnight candle at a certain point of their life, trying to understand the concept, trying to fix something, or trying to understand something. So boot camps and all will say it's easy to get into. That's true. It's easy to get into, but it's hard work. I know when I say this, some of them, their face changes. When I say this, their face changes. But it's hard work.
It's not enough to be, not even the university, I don't think.
Yeah, it's not even the university. What they teach in university is good basis.
Yeah, good basis.
What they teach in university is good basis, but you cannot come out of university with just your university knowledge alone and expect to excel. Yeah. Yes. And now, with the boot camps and all, me personally, when I'm hiring interns or something, that's good. You've been to university, that's impressive, but what can you do? I think personally, I've taken on about 3 or 4 interns myself who did not have what we call a traditional engineering background, integration. They did something entirely different, but are now in tech. Because they've shown that they can do the work. So if you show that you cannot, you need to show that you can do the work. You need to have a history of showing you can do the work. And I can tell you that if you're going to limit yourself, the first job you're going to get is probably going to be shitty. No jokes about that. Like, the first job you're going to get there, they're going to use you, but let them use you. Use them too. That's all I'm going to say. Use them to. They are going to use you, but use them to and learn as much as possible. Because once you show you are able to do it, then the international market opens up to you. Because remember, international market, you are fighting other Africans. They are really strong developers in Nigeria. They are really strong developers in India. And you are going to fight with all of these people. So you should know. And right now, South America too. So I'm going to meet all of these people. So the beginning is going to be hectic. Like, reminding me of those days. I remember some days I used to sleep in the office, so but Charlie.
All right.
It's
so
all good.
To add to that, yesterday, whilst testing out this setup, my fiance was around and she asked me, how long would it take someone to become, like, to get his first job or to become a good programmer? And my answer was, it depends on each and every person. I can take 1 year to learn how to code and then probably get a job and be good at it. Not just get a job, but be good at it. And it might take her 6 months to know the basics and be good at it. As in what I knew within 1 year, she might be able to get that in 6 months. Maybe she's fast at getting things. Than me. That's why it took me 6 months. What do you think about that?
I do agree. I do agree with that. It plays to your strength. And there was this anime, right? Naruto, right? That used to at the end of the anime at the end of Naruto they sport it. But they used to allude to hard work and then inherent talent. There are some people that are just talented. There are people who would understand certain concepts easier because their minds have been placed in that way. However, it's not impossible for you to learn. You may struggle, but you will be able to learn it. However, it might not come as easy to you as gone are the days when, you still need, depending on the field you end up in programming, you may need math, but there's currently lots of field in tech. And I'm sorry, I just realized that I am limiting tech to just pro coding. There's so much. There's so much. Currently, there are friends of mine who are doing other things and they advise. I'm like, look, it's best if you, instead of trying to come into programming, you've been working at this place for this long. So what you can do is you can either attach a data analyst role to your role because what you are doing will kind of fit seamlessly with that. And then you get into it. For you, you can try to apply as a PM, right? And then come seamlessly into it. So first, apologies for just saying tech is just programming and all of that. But you take a look at your strength and see how best it leads you to. Because it wouldn't make sense for you to be hitting your head against a wall consistently if it's just not going through. Some people are brilliant. Look, I've come across people and I've worked with people who right now I would say at a whole different level than I am. When I see them talking about things, I'm like, hey, what is this? Then I would have to go and open it and figure it out myself. Yes. We all move at our own pace. We all move at our own pace. So move at a pace that's comfortable with you, but be aware of your peers too, because you are not in a vacuum where it's just you. You're also with people, and if you're moving at 1x speed, someone's moving at 1.5 speed, someone's moving at 0.5 speed, and all. So be aware of that and see how best you can lace your strength. I know people who are in tech, right? But they are moved to the training part of tech. They didn't start a tech background, they're in the training part of tech. There are people who have died. And I think another thing has to do with your personal drive. Mm-hmm. People say that money is not a reason. Money is a good reason. Money is a good reason. Like, honestly, it's like how someone told me, this is controversial, but I'll say it. Someone told me that she doesn't understand why people don't like gold diggers, right? Mm-hmm. And this her reason. Then she said, I love her. I didn't have any defense for her. She said for her, right, money is a characteristic of the person. So someone may like someone tall. Mm-hmm. For her, she likes someone with money. Because for her, she sees a characteristic of you as a person. Yeah. So I just want to say, make sure your passion. So if it's your passion for money, if it's your passion for solving issues, if it's your passion for learning, or it's revenge you want to do, revenge is a good motivator. I told you so. I have done sleepless nights because all I wanted to do was tell someone, I told you I could do it. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's also a very good motivator. Yeah. So just make sure your motivation is strong enough to push you through. Otherwise, you reach a tip like, what's the point? Yeah. And just give up. So whatever your motivation is, if it's world distraction too, all the best. Yeah.
Okay. Last one.
Yeah.
When you started, or even now, mm-hmm. who are your role models in the industry you are in now? And how have they influenced you?
Okay. So I would say when I started, I wasn't really connected with the community. I would still say I'm not connected to the community because I like to keep to myself a lot. One of the textbook definitions of an introvert. Yes. And the reason I came on this show is I'm trying to change certain things. Yes. Yeah. So growing up in my career, there are people who were quite loud in the Ghanaian space, around, I want to say 2016, 2017 time. I think that was when I first joined the Deaf Congress, the Deaf Congress group at that time. I think there was Pupu, there was Edem, Stefan to all of those. Yes, and I would say that was where I got my first, I think, Dunning-Kruger check, where you think you know something. And then was it the same meetup I met you? I don't think it wasn't that one. Okay. I think it was about 2 or 3 meetups prior to that. Okay. It was 2 or 3 meetups prior to that. I was talking about something, and in my head I was like, this sounds so simple. Why can't these people do it? But then, after the meeting, I just sat down and I was like, shit, I know nothing. Yeah. Yeah, I was like, shit, I know nothing. Even though I'm shipping out features and all, I'm not where I thought I would be. So I kind of did, what is it called? I did curriculum for myself and built it. So those people, I kind of, looked up to them. And kind of based off what I did. Currently, the people who I will call my role models, it will be tough because currently in the current environment, I've not been participating too much into the communities and all, so I cannot really say. But there are people who, in the general tech environment, like the worldwide tech environment, have left some impressions on me on their problem solving. So that's one thing I actually like. I really admire the problem solving nature of people's. So I'll say currently, I'll say it changed every day because depending on what I'm watching, there's this particular show that was done by either ARS Technica or AR Technica, which used to talk about unique challenges that usually in game dev people encountered and how, they went around it. So I keep watching those stuff and I'm like, wow, there are some really, really, really talented individuals over there. So currently I may not be able to pick to one, but back then, yes, the Dev Congress guys, they really inspired me.
Yeah, those guys did well because those days we didn't really have any community that meet up.
Exactly.
Dev Congress was the one that started. Yeah. Most of them are best guys.
I realize, best. Yeah. I realize most of them are best guys. Is Mest still running?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that'll be it, and very, very informative interview, and I'm happy you came on Tech Talk with Fortune.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be here.
So this will be the end of the interview, and if you had any other questions you wish you could hear answers from him, just put it in the comment section. Maybe I might bring him on again to answer those questions, or probably the next person, the next interviewer would be the one to answer those questions for you. And thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and also share this video if you like it. You can share with your friends as well. All right, thanks. Bye.